I spent 68 years believing that family always comes first. Then I spent $12,000 to learn I was wrong. Hello. My name is Margaret Walsh, though most people call me Maggie. I live in Coral Gables, Florida, in a house that's gotten too quiet for one person. The kind with a guest room that hasn't seen guests in years. I was a family law attorney for 40 years. I helped hundreds of families navigate divorces, custody battles, estate disputes. I could see the patterns in other people's lives with perfect clarity. Funny how we're always blind to our own. My husband left 15 years ago. Not for another woman. Just for a quieter life, he said. One without my 70-hour work weeks, my client emergencies during dinner, my stubborn belief that fighting for strangers mattered more than fighting for us. Looking back, he was right about that part. I poured everything into my career and let my marriage run dry. We had one son, Michael. He was born when I was 32, right in the middle of making partner at the firm. I hired excellent nannies. I never missed a single school play, though I sometimes had to slip out before the curtain call. I thought that counted for something. Michael grew up polite, well-mannered, distant. At 35, he married a woman named Jessica Holden. She works in social media marketing, the kind where everything is content and every moment is an opportunity for a post. Her outfits coordinate in ways I don't understand. Her smile looks rehearsed. She calls me Marge, even though I've asked her 3 times not to. They have 2 children. Emma just turned 8. Lucas is 5. They used to run to me when I visited, arms wide, shouting, "Grandma." Then somewhere along the way, the visits got shorter. The children got quieter around me. Jessica started saying things like, "Grandma's very busy with her life, isn't she? We shouldn't bother her." I wasn't busy. I'd been retired for 3 years. Last October, I sat alone in my kitchen on a Tuesday morning. The granite counters were cold under my palms. The coffee maker hissed and gurgled, the only sound in the entire house. I'd gotten another text in the family group chat. They were planning Halloween costumes. Jessica had sent 9 photos of elaborate costume ideas for the kids. Michael responded with thumbs-up emojis. Nobody asked if I wanted to come trick-or-treating with them. Nobody asked me anything anymore. I looked at the bank statements spread across my kitchen table. My retirement account. The divorce settlement. Money from selling my share of the law practice. All those zeros that proved I'd worked hard and sacrificed much and had nothing warm to show for it. I opened my laptop and typed, "Caribbean Family Cruise," into the search bar. The idea formed slowly. Not revenge. I didn't think of it that way then. I thought of it as a bridge. One final attempt to pull everyone together. Neutral territory. A week at sea where Jessica couldn't manufacture scheduling conflicts. Where the children would be with me by default. Where Michael might remember I was his mother and not just an obligation he checked off once a month. I chose a 7-night cruise departing from Miami. March sailing, when the Caribbean water turns that impossible shade of turquoise. 2 balcony suites with ocean views. I booked them both. Suite 1 Michael and Jessica. Suite 2 Emma, Lucas, and Jessica's mother, Patricia. Patricia. She was included in everything. She babysat twice a week. She knew the children's teachers' names, their favorite snacks, which cartoons they were allowed to watch. She had all that information because she was there. I put Patricia in the booking because it made practical sense. The children knew her. They'd be comfortable with her. I didn't let myself think about what it meant that I was paying $12,000 for my own replacement. The total came to $11,847.32. I stared at that number for a long time. It was more than I'd spent on myself in the past 5 years combined. Then I entered my credit card information and clicked the blue confirmation button. The confirmation email arrived at 10:47 a.m. I forwarded it to the family group chat with a simple message. Surprise! I've booked us a family cruise for spring break. 7 nights, Caribbean, all expenses paid. Can't wait to spend real time together. My finger trembled slightly when I hit send. The responses came within minutes. Jessica sent a string of exclamation marks and heart emojis. OMG Marge, this is incredible. Michael called me 3 minutes later. Mom, you didn't have to do this. I wanted to, I said. I thought it would be nice. Quality time together. It's extremely generous. His voice had that careful quality it always had when he talked to me now. Like I was a client, not his mother. Let me talk to Jess about the dates and get back to you. The dates are already set. It's booked and paid for. A pause. Right. Of course. I just need to make sure we can all make it work. It's spring break. You mentioned last month you didn't have plans yet. We'll make it work. Thank you, Mom. Really. He sounded tired. Or maybe obligated. I couldn't tell the difference anymore. The planning messages started that same afternoon. Jessica created a new group chat called Cruise Crew, with animated GIFs of palm trees and champagne bottles. She sent Pinterest boards of coordinated outfit ideas. She made color-coded spreadsheets of shore excursions. I watched the messages accumulate. Over 200 in the first 3 days. I contributed maybe 5 times. Each message I sent felt like shouting into an empty canyon, waiting for an echo that never came. Then Patricia joined the conversation. Should I bring the children's special sunscreen or will they have hypoallergenic options on board? Jessica replied instantly, definitely bring it. You know Lucas's sensitive skin. Can't be too careful. You know Lucas's skin. 4 simple words that confirmed what I already knew deep down. I didn't know my grandson's skin. I didn't know which sunscreen he needed, which foods made him gag, whether he was afraid of the ocean or excited by it. I didn't know any of it. I'd sent a check for his 5th birthday 3 months ago. Jessica posted a photo of him holding it with the caption, "So blessed to have generous family." The word, generous, felt like a synonym for distant. 3 weeks before the cruise, I drove to the mall. I don't go to malls often anymore. They're too loud, too bright, too full of teenagers moving like they own the world. I bought a new swimsuit. Navy blue one-piece with a modest skirt attached. I bought 2 sundresses and a pair of sandals the saleswoman assured me were very in right now. I wasn't entirely sure what that meant, but I bought them anyway. At the cosmetics counter, a girl who looked barely 20 asked if I wanted a fresh spring look. Just lipstick, I said. She sold me 3 different shades and a highlighter I knew I'd never use. I drove home with shopping bags on my passenger seat. The late afternoon sun hit them at an angle that made the tissue paper glow pink and gold. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not quite happiness, but hope. A fragile, tentative hope. Maybe this trip would work. Maybe a week together would remind them I was still here. Still their mother. Still their grandmother. Still someone who deserved more than polite texts and obligatory phone calls. I pulled into my driveway as the sun was setting. The house sat dark and silent. I'd forgotten to leave a porch light on again. I gathered my shopping bags and went inside. I hung the new dresses in my closet next to business suits I'd never wear again. I put the makeup in a bathroom drawer with hotel toiletries I'd been collecting for no particular reason. My phone buzzed. The cruise crew chat. Jessica had sent another message. "Okay everyone, I've been thinking a lot about the vibe for this trip." I waited, phone in hand. I really want this to be a deep bonding experience for our core family unit, you know? Like creating authentic memories that will last forever. My stomach tightened. So I was thinking, what if we kept this trip really intimate? Just our immediate little pod? I read it 3 times. Each time, the meaning got clearer and worse. Michael's response came 15 minutes later. "Let's discuss this privately." But Jessica kept typing. "I'm not trying to be difficult. I just think it'll be more meaningful. More real. Plus Mom, you and I never get quality one-on-one time, you know?" She meant Patricia. She meant her mother. Not me. The chat went quiet for nearly 2 hours. I sat in my living room with my phone on my lap, watching the screen like it might explode. Then Michael sent a message to everyone, "Family discussion needed. Jess and I will call everyone tonight." Everyone. But he didn't call me that night. Or the next day. Or the day after that. 4 days later, Jessica posted in the chat, "Getting so excited for this trip with my favorite people." She'd attached a digital mock-up she'd created. A cartoon cruise ship with illustrated versions of Michael, herself, Emma, Lucas, and Patricia. All smiling. All waving. All together. I wasn't in the picture. I called Michael that evening around 7. It went to voicemail. I called again at 8. Voicemail again. I sent a text. "We need to talk about the cruise. Please call me." His response came 90 minutes later. "Mom, don't take this personally. Jess just wants to make sure the trip is relaxing and meaningful for everyone." I stared at those words until the letters stopped making sense. Don't take this personally. I had paid for the entire trip. I had organized it as a gift to bring us together. I had tried to build a bridge to a family that kept walking further away. And I wasn't supposed to take it personally. I set my phone down carefully. I walked to my home office and opened the filing cabinet where I keep important documents. I pulled out the cruise confirmation printout. I read every single line of the terms and conditions I'd barely glanced at when booking. There, in Section 4.2, it stated, "The primary cardholder retains all rights to modify or cancel reservations up to 48 hours prior to departure date." I sat with that information for a very long time. Outside my window, the sun had set completely. My neighbor's porch light flickered on across the fence. Somewhere down the street, I could hear children laughing as they played. I picked up my phone and dialed the cruise line's customer service number. A woman answered on the second ring. Bright, professional voice. "Thank you for calling Paradise Cruises, this is Monica. How may I help you today?" "I have a question about modifying my reservation," I said. My voice was steady. It was my lawyer voice. The one I'd used for 4 decades when I needed to sound absolutely certain about uncertain things. "Of course. May I have your confirmation number, please? I gave it to her. I heard rapid typing on the other end. Yes, Mrs. Walsh. I have your reservation right here. The Caribbean Spring Sailing, 2 balcony suites. How can I assist you? I need to understand exactly what changes I'm permitted to make to the guest list. You're listed as the primary cardholder, so you have full authority to add or remove any guests up until 48 hours before departure. Would you like to make changes today? Not today, I said carefully. I'm just confirming what my options are. Absolutely. You have complete flexibility. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, thank you. I hung up. I sat in my dark office surrounded by law books I'd never open again. And diplomas that didn't matter anymore, and family photos from when Michael still looked at me like I was his whole world. I thought about Jessica's cartoon cruise ship. How easily she'd erased me from the picture. How quickly Michael had let her do it. I thought about all the years I'd spent putting family first while my own family drifted further and further from shore. And I thought about Section 4.2 of the Terms and Conditions. Primary cardholder retains all rights. I smiled in the darkness. It wasn't a happy smile. It was something sharper. Something that had been building for 15 years of small disappointments and polite erasures, and slowly learning I was loved more in theory than in practice. If they wanted a cruise without me, they could absolutely have one. Just not the cruise I'd paid for. The message came on a Thursday afternoon while I was organizing my bathroom cabinet for the trip. I'd bought travel-sized bottles of shampoo and conditioner. A new toothbrush still in its package. Dramamine for seasickness, though I'd never been seasick a day in my life. I was arranging everything in a clear TSA-approved plastic bag when my phone buzzed on the counter. Cruise crew group chat. Jessica's name at the top. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of thinking about the whole vibe and energy for this trip, and I really want to keep it super intimate, you know? I waited, watched the 3 dots appear and disappear and appear again. Like just immediate family? I think it'll be so much more meaningful that way. More connected and authentic. I read it twice. Set down the bottle of sunscreen I'd been holding. Michael responded first, "What exactly do you mean?" "Just us. You, me, the kids. Our little unit. No extra people to worry about." The words glowed on my screen. No extra people. I typed slowly, "I'm confused. Who would be considered extra?" The dots appeared immediately. "Oh, Maggie. Not you, obviously, haha. I just mean like, let's keep it to the absolute core people. The ones who live together every single day. That's where genuine bonding happens." My friend Ruth texted me separately, "Are you seeing this nonsense?" I'd made the mistake of telling her about the cruise last week over coffee. Now I regretted involving anyone. "I'm seeing it," I typed back to Ruth. In the cruise chat, Michael wrote, "Jess, can we please discuss this tonight? In person?" But Jessica kept going. The messages came rapid fire. "I've been reading all these articles about family vacations and they all say the same thing. Too many people dilutes the bonding experience. We need quality over quantity. The kids need super focused attention from their actual parents. Not a million distractions. Plus we can do way more adventurous excursions if we don't have to worry about everyone's different needs and physical limitations." Physical limitations. I was 68, not 98. I'd hiked 3 miles just last week. Patricia sent a thumbs up emoji. I stared at that single thumbs up for a very long time. Patricia was Jessica's mother. Jessica had just said, immediate family only, and no extra people. Yet Patricia was giving it a thumbs up. Which meant Patricia wasn't being excluded from this new vision. Only I was. I typed carefully, choosing each word. Jessica, I'm the one who booked this cruise. I paid for all of it. I know. And we are so incredibly grateful. That's exactly why I want it to be absolutely perfect. I want us to really maximize this amazing gift you gave us. Michael's response: let's table this discussion for now. But Jessica sent one final message, just putting it out there for everyone to think about. This is literally a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Let's make sure we're spending it with exactly the right people. The right people. I called Michael immediately. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. I called again. Same result. I texted, Michael, we need to talk about this. Now. 23 minutes passed. My phone finally rang. Hey, Mom. Did you see what Jessica wrote in the chat? Yeah, I saw it. Look, she's just really excited about the trip. She wants it to be special. She wants me excluded, Michael. A pause that lasted too long. That's not what she said. Then what did she say? She said immediate family. The people who live together. I am your immediate family. I'm your mother. I know. Of course I know you are. His voice sounded strained, exhausted. She just means the household family unit. The people under one roof. But Patricia is still included. Silence on the other end. Michael, your mother-in-law is invited to this trip, but I'm not. To a trip I paid for with my own money. Patricia helps with the kids constantly. They're totally comfortable with her being around. The words landed like a physical blow. And they're not comfortable with me? That's not what I meant at all. Then what did you mean? He exhaled heavily. A long, defeated sound. Mom, can you please just not make this harder than it needs to be? Harder for whom? For everyone. For all of us. Jess has been incredibly stressed planning everything. She just wants it to go smoothly. I haven't done a single thing to make it not smooth. I know that. But you know how she gets when she has a vision for something. When people push back on her vision, she completely shuts down. So I should just quietly accept being uninvited from my own gift? Nobody's uninviting you. We're just discussing different options. Jessica literally said, no extra people. I'm apparently extra, Michael. She absolutely did not mean it like that. How did she mean it then? Another long pause. I heard a door close in the background. He'd moved to another room, away from Jessica. Look, he said, voice dropping to almost a whisper. Let me talk to her, okay? I'll smooth this over. Just give me a day or two to work on it. A day or two. Yeah, I'll handle it. I promise I will. You'll handle it. Mom, please. Don't be like this right now. Like what? Difficult. The word hung in the air between us like smoke. Difficult. I had given birth to him. Raised him essentially alone after his father abandoned us. Paid for his entire college education, his wedding, the down payment on his first house. I had asked for nothing in return except to be included in his life. And now I was being difficult. Goodbye, Michael. I hung up before he could respond. Ruth called exactly 8 minutes later. Please tell me you're not crying. I'm not crying. My voice came out level and controlled. I'd learned that skill in courtroom depositions. Keep your voice steady even when everything inside you is screaming. Good. Because this is complete bullshit and you know it. She wants me excluded from the trip. She wants you erased from existence. There's a difference. I sat down heavily on the edge of my bed. The new sundresses still hung in my closet with their tags attached, mocking me. What should I do? Ruth was quiet for a long moment. Then, what would you tell a client in this situation? I'd already asked myself the same question. I'd tell them to read the contract carefully. So read the contract. I already had. I knew exactly what it said. That night I made dinner for myself. Grilled chicken breast. Steamed broccoli. I ate standing at the kitchen counter with my laptop open, reading the cruise confirmation email for the 6th time. Primary cardholder retains all rights to modify or cancel reservations up to 48 hours prior to departure. I had paid $11,847.32. I had complete legal power to change anything and everything. But I was supposed to be the bigger person, wasn't I? The gracious mother-in-law. The grandmother who didn't cause problems or make waves. My phone buzzed. The cruise crew chat again. Jessica had posted a new photo. A screenshot from some influencer's Instagram account. A picture-perfect family on a gleaming cruise ship deck. Mother, father, 2 beautiful children, and a grandmother. Everyone dressed in matching white linen outfits. Everyone beaming at the camera. The caption read, "Vision board. Can't wait to make memories exactly like this." I looked closer at the image. The grandmother in the photo looked nothing like me. Jessica had photoshopped Patricia's face onto the grandmother's body. I closed my laptop. I sat in my dark kitchen for a very long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the wall clock. At 9:47 p.m., Michael texted, "Just talked to Jess. She says you're completely overthinking this whole thing. She never said you couldn't come. She just wants to keep the group small and manageable, that's all." I typed back, "Is Patricia still coming on this trip?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, probably yes. The kids will need someone to help manage them at night. So I'm excluded, but she's essential. Mom. Please. Please what, Michael? Don't make me choose between you. There it was. The truth hiding underneath all the careful words and polite excuses. Don't make me choose, because we both already know who I'll pick, and it isn't you. I didn't respond. I turned off my phone completely. I walked to my home office and pulled out a yellow legal pad. Old habit from my lawyer days. When I needed to think with absolute clarity, I wrote things down by hand. At the top of the page, I wrote in capital letters facts. I paid for this entire cruise with my own money. Jessica wants me explicitly excluded. Michael refuses to defend me or stand up for me. Patricia is still invited and considered essential. I have full legal right to modify the reservation. Under that, I wrote options. Accept the exclusion gracefully. Don't go. Let them have the trip without me. Fight for my place. Force Michael to finally stand up to Jessica. Cancel the entire trip. Request a full refund. I stared at those 3 options for nearly 20 minutes. Then I wrote a 4th option, my hand shaking slightly. Change the guest list entirely. My hand was trembling when I wrote those words. Not from fear or uncertainty. From something else entirely. Something that felt like standing up after kneeling for far too long. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my pride and smiled through the pain. All the family holidays where I'd been thanked publicly and ignored privately. All the birthday parties where I'd received a perfunctory hug and then been forgotten in the corner. All the times I'd made myself smaller to avoid being called difficult. I thought about Jessica's carefully photoshopped vision board with Patricia's smiling face where mine should have been. I thought about Michael saying, "Don't make me choose," as if my place in his life was optional and negotiable. And I thought about 40 years of representing clients who'd been pushed aside, undervalued, written out of their own stories. I had fought ferociously for every single one of them. Maybe it was finally time to fight for myself. I picked up my phone. Turned it back on. The cruise crew chat had 19 new messages. All from Jessica. Discussions about shore excursions and dinner dress codes and which formal gown she should pack. Not a single person had asked if I was okay. I opened my contacts. Scrolled past Michael's name, past Jessica's name. I stopped at Doris, my closest friend since law school. I hadn't talked to her in nearly 3 weeks. I typed, "Are you free for lunch tomorrow? I need some advice." Her response came within seconds, "Always free for you." What's wrong? I'll explain everything tomorrow. That sounds serious. I looked at the legal pad on my desk. At option number 4 written in my own handwriting. Maybe serious. Or maybe it's actually something good. I set my phone down. Went to bed. But sleep wouldn't come. I lay there in the darkness thinking about guest lists and primary cardholders and the profound difference between family by blood and family by choice. Somewhere around 2 in the morning, I made my final decision. If they wanted a cruise without me, they could absolutely have one. Just not this particular cruise. Not the one I'd paid for. I met Doris at a small cafe near the university on Friday morning. She was already seated when I arrived. Sitting by the front window with a cappuccino and her reading glasses pushed up on top of her head. She stood up when she saw me and pulled me into a tight hug. "You look absolutely terrible," she said. "Thank you so much. I'm serious. When was the last time you actually slept?" "Tuesday, I think." We sat down. I ordered coffee I had no intention of drinking. Then I told her everything from beginning to end. The cruise booking. Jessica's messages about keeping it intimate. Michael's complete refusal to choose me. The photoshopped picture with Patricia's face. Doris listened without interrupting once. She had that rare ability. 42 years of teaching literature had made her an extraordinarily patient listener. When I finally finished, she leaned back in her chair and studied me. "So what are you planning to do?" "I honestly don't know." "You're lying." I looked at her. She was smiling, but not sympathetically. It was something sharper and more knowing. "You already know exactly what you're going to do," she said. "You just want someone to give you permission." "Permission for what?" "To burn the whole thing down." I didn't answer. Doris pulled out her phone. She scrolled for a moment, then turned the screen toward me. A quote in white text on a black background. "Setting yourself on fire to keep others warm is not noble. It's just suicide with excellent public relations." I read it twice. Who said that? Someone extremely smart. Does it really matter who? No, I suppose it doesn't. So, what are you actually going to do? I took a deep breath. I'm going to change the guest list. Doris carefully set down her coffee cup. Say that one more time. I paid for this cruise. I have full legal right to modify the reservations however I want. So I'm going to remove them from the booking and invite people who actually want me there. You're completely serious right now. Completely serious. Michael is going to absolutely lose his mind. Almost certainly. Jessica is going to detonate like a nuclear bomb. Without question. Doris grinned. Wide and absolutely genuine. Can I come? I blinked at her. What? To the cruise. Can I please come? Because if you're actually doing this, I want a front row seat to watch the aftermath. Doris. I'm dead serious, Maggie. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? Something that wasn't dutiful or responsible or self-sacrificing? I genuinely couldn't remember. Exactly my point, Doris said. You're taking back your own gift. That's not revenge. That's basic human dignity. It feels like revenge. Good. A little bit of revenge builds excellent character. I almost laughed. Almost. I can't just invite you and completely exclude my own son. Why not? He excluded you first. He made that choice. The words hit me harder than I'd expected. Doris reached across the small table and took my hand firmly. Her grip was warm and grounding. Maggie, listen to me. You have spent 68 years being endlessly reasonable. Being patient beyond measure. Being the bigger person in every single situation. And where has all that gotten you? Here. Exactly. Right here. Sitting in a cafe drinking coffee you won't finish, apologizing for the crime of existing. She squeezed my hand tighter. Stop apologizing. Do the thing you want to do. Invite me. Invite Ruth. Hell, invite that sweet neighbor of yours who's always fixing your fence. You mean Frank? Is that his name? Perfect. Yes, Frank. Bring him along too. He barely even knows me. So what? You barely know your own grandchildren anymore, thanks to Jessica. At least Frank genuinely smiles when he sees you. She had an undeniable point. I drove home in a complete daze. Doris's words replayed in my head on an endless loop. Stop apologizing for existing. When I pulled into my driveway, Frank was outside watering his rose bushes. He waved cheerfully. I waved back automatically. He set down his hose and walked over as I got out of my car. You doing okay, Maggie? You look pretty stressed. It's been a long week. I completely understand that feeling. He smiled, and it reached all the way to his eyes. The kind of smile that felt genuine. Hey, I made way too much lasagna last night. Would you want some? I'm absolutely drowning in leftovers. That's very sweet of you, but it's homemade. My late wife Helen's recipe. I only make it twice a year, and I always forget I'm cooking for one person now. His wife had died 10 years ago. Massive heart attack. Completely sudden. I'd brought him a casserole dish back then, in those first horrible weeks. He'd returned the empty dish 2 weeks later with a thank you note written in careful, shaky handwriting. Okay, I heard myself say. I'd really like that. Wonderful. Come by around 6? 6 is perfect. He returned to his roses. I went inside my house. I sat at my kitchen table. Opened my laptop. Pulled up the cruise confirmation email one more time. Primary cardholder retains all rights. I picked up my phone. Dialed the cruise line's number with trembling fingers. Same cheerful voice, different person. Paradise Cruises, this is Amanda speaking. How may I help you today? I need to modify my reservation. Of course. May I have your confirmation number, please? I gave it to her. Heard the familiar sound of rapid typing. Perfect, Mrs. Walsh. I have your Caribbean sailing in March right here. What changes would you like to make? My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My palms were slick with sweat. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a very high cliff. I need to remove some guests from the booking. Absolutely no problem. Which cabin are we modifying? Both cabins. I need to remove everyone except myself. A brief pause. Just to confirm, you want to remove all 5 other guests? Yes, that's correct. May I ask the reason? Just for our internal records. Change of plans. More typing sounds. Understood. And when would you like to add new guests to fill those spots? Right now. I have the names ready. Please go ahead. I took a deep, steadying breath. Suite 1, Doris Kaplan and Ruth Ellis. Could you spell those names for me, please? I spelled them out carefully. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Suite 2, Mara Stein, Frank Whitman, and Patricia Holden. Perfect. And I'll need dates of birth for all of them? I had Doris's and Ruth's birthdays memorized from decades of friendship. Mara's I had to estimate. Frank's I didn't know at all. Can I call back with the last 2 birth dates? Absolutely. As long as we receive them at least 48 hours before sailing, you're fine. I'll get them to you this afternoon. Perfect, Mrs. Walsh. Let me just confirm these changes. I'm removing Michael McCarthy, Jessica McCarthy, Emma McCarthy, Lucas McCarthy, and Patricia Holden from the original booking. I'm adding Doris Kaplan, Ruth Ellis, and Mara Stein. And pending the birth dates, I'll add Frank Whitman and re-add Patricia Holden to the manifest. You'll receive a confirmation email within the hour. I thanked her quietly and hung up. I sat completely still at my kitchen table. I had actually done it. Michael and Jessica were no longer on the cruise. The children were removed. My friends were going instead. I felt simultaneously sick and exhilarated and absolutely terrified. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Ruth. Doris just called me screaming. Please tell me she's not joking about this. She's not joking even a little bit. You actually invited us on the cruise? Your family cruise? Yes. Complete silence on the other end. Then, Maggie Walsh. You beautiful, absolutely insane woman. I think I might be making a catastrophic mistake. Oh, you definitely are making a mistake. But it's exactly the right kind of mistake. The kind you'll never regret for the rest of your life. I already regret it. No, you don't. You're just scared. Being scared is completely different from regret. She was absolutely right. That same afternoon, I called Mara. She literally screamed into the phone. Are you being serious right now? An actual cruise? A free cruise? It's not exactly free. I already paid for it months ago. Even better. Oh my God, when do we leave? March 15th. I'm writing it down right now. I'm buying a new swimsuit tomorrow. I'm getting my hair done. Maggie, this is genuinely the best thing that's happened to me in 5 years. Her pure joy was contagious. I felt the tight knot in my chest loosen slightly for the first time in days. Then I walked next door to Frank's house. He answered wearing an apron covered in tomato sauce. Something smelled absolutely incredible. Maggie, you're early. The lasagna still needs another 20 minutes. Frank, can I ask you something kind of unusual? Of course. Come inside. I stayed on his front porch. How do you feel about cruises? He blinked at me. Cruises? Yes. The Caribbean. 7 nights. Leaving in March. Are you inviting me on a cruise? Yes, I am. Can I ask why? Because you're genuinely kind to me. And you smile when you see me. And I desperately need to be around people who actually do those things. He stared at me for a long, searching moment. Does this have something to do with your son? I must have looked shocked, because he laughed gently. Maggie, I live right next door. I notice when he visits. Or more accurately, when he doesn't visit. I'm not blind to what's happening. Oh, so, is this about him? Yes. And no. Maybe. It's extremely complicated. Most genuinely good things are complicated. He leaned against his doorframe. When do you need my answer? Ideally today. I need your birth date for the official booking. July 14, 1954. And my answer is yes. Just like that? Yes? Yes, Maggie. I haven't been on any kind of vacation since Helen died 10 years ago. It sounds like it's well past time. I felt tears starting to form. I blinked them back hard. Thank you, Frank. No. Thank you, Maggie. Now please get in here before this lasagna burns and ruins everything. The final confirmation email arrived at exactly 8:32 p.m. All guest modifications complete. Patricia Holden re-added to manifest. Frank Whitman successfully added. Departure date March 15th. I stared at Patricia's name on the screen. Jessica's own mother. I'd deliberately kept her on the guest list. I wasn't entirely sure why. Maybe because she'd seemed just as trapped and used as I felt. Just as invisible. Or maybe because I wanted Jessica to know that even her own mother had chosen me over her. That night, I didn't tell Michael what I'd done. I would tell him eventually. Very soon. But not quite yet. I needed just a few more days of this feeling. This small, secret power of having finally chosen myself. I went to bed earlier than usual. For the first time in over a week, I slept completely through the night. When I woke up the next morning, there were 3 text messages waiting. Doris, do we need fancy formal dresses for the elegant dining nights? Ruth, I already bought Dramamine just in case. Do you get seasick at all? Mara, I told everyone at my office. They are so jealous they can't stand it. I smiled at my phone. Then I saw the 4th message. Michael, Mom, we really need to talk about the cruise soon. Jess wants to finalize all the plans. Can you please call me when you get this? I set the phone down gently on my nightstand. Not yet. I would tell him very soon. But today, just for today, I was going to fully enjoy this feeling. Today, I was going to be a woman who had chosen herself. Tomorrow could handle its own inevitable problems. I told Michael exactly 4 days before departure. Not in person. I couldn't bear to do it face to face. I sent a text message at 7:15 am while he'd still be having his morning coffee. I've made changes to the cruise reservation. You, Jessica, and the children are no longer on the guest list. I'm going with friends instead. Patricia has also been removed and then re-added to my cabin. I'm sorry it came to this. I turned off my phone immediately after hitting send. I didn't turn it back on for 6 full hours. When I finally powered it on again, there were 43 missed calls. 62 text messages. 7 voicemails. I read all the texts in chronological order, watching the progression from confusion to rage. Michael, 7:18 a.m. What? Michael, 7:19 a.m. Mom, call me right now. Jessica, 7:24 a.m. Are you actually kidding me right now? Michael, 7:30 a.m. This is completely insane. Call me immediately. Jessica, 7:45 a.m. You can't just do this. We have plans. The kids have been excited for months. Michael, 8:03 a.m. Mom, please. Let's talk about this like rational adults. Jessica, 8:15 a.m. This is legally my cruise. I'm calling the cruise line right now. Michael, 8:47 a.m. Jess called them. They confirmed you have the legal right to do this because you're the one who paid. Mom, why would you possibly do this to us? The messages continued. Anger turned to bargaining, turned to threats, turned to desperate pleading. I didn't respond to any of them. Ruth called that evening around 6. Michael's been calling me repeatedly. He somehow got my number from somewhere. What did he say to you? He asked me to convince you to change your mind. He said you're clearly having some kind of breakdown or mental health crisis. What did you tell him? I told him I'm currently packing a swimsuit and he should learn to actually appreciate his mother before it's too late. I laughed. It felt strange in my throat. But good. He's really upset, Maggie. I know he is. Are you genuinely okay with that? I thought about it. Really, deeply thought about it. Yes, I think I actually am. The morning of departure, I woke at 5 a.m. Couldn't sleep at all. Frank was driving all of us to the port. His car was significantly bigger than mine, with plenty of room for everyone's luggage. Doris, Ruth, and Mara met us at my house at exactly 6:30. Everyone was giddy with excitement, talking over each other constantly. Ruth had packed enough sunscreen to supply a small army. Mara wore a bright pink hat with "Cruise Mode Activated" embroidered across it in gold thread. I felt numb, excited, terrified, all of it at once. We loaded the car efficiently. Frank drove. I sat in the passenger seat, watching Miami slowly wake up through the window. You're very quiet, Frank observed gently. Just nervous. About the cruise itself, or about potentially seeing them? Both, honestly. Do you think they'll actually be there? Probably. The ship leaves at noon. I think they'll show up at the terminal anyway, hoping to fix everything at the last minute. Are you ready for that confrontation? Not even remotely. He nodded and kept driving. We arrived at the Miami cruise terminal at 8:45 a.m. The building was absolutely massive. All glass and polished steel and enormous crowds of excited people pulling colorful suitcases. My phone buzzed insistently. Michael again. Mom, please. We're almost at the port. Let's talk face to face before you do something you'll regret forever. I turned off my phone completely. We checked our luggage at the curb. Received our boarding passes. The woman at the check-in counter smiled warmly at each of us. Welcome aboard, Mrs. Walsh, Mrs. Kaplan, Mrs. Ellis, Mrs. Stein, Mr. Whitman. You're all in connecting suites on deck 9. You're absolutely going to love them. Ruth squeezed my hand tightly. We're really doing this. We're really doing this. We went through the security checkpoint. Passports carefully checked. Photos taken for ship IDs. Then we were in the massive terminal waiting area, surrounded by hundreds of other excited passengers. That's when I saw them. Michael, Jessica, Emma, Lucas. Patricia trailing behind. They were at the main check-in counter. Jessica was talking rapidly, her hands moving in sharp, angry gestures. Her voice carried across the entire crowded terminal. There has to be some kind of mistake. We're absolutely on this cruise. My mother-in-law booked it months ago. The agent was typing, shaking her head professionally. I'm very sorry, ma'am, but you're not showing up on our passenger manifest. Check again. Jessica McCarthy. McCarthy. More typing. I've checked our system multiple times. You're simply not listed on this sailing. Michael leaned in, trying to sound reasonable. There's been some kind of change. A misunderstanding. Can we please speak with a supervisor? Jessica's voice got noticeably louder. This is absolutely ridiculous. We have children with us. Small children who have been looking forward to this trip for months. Emma and Lucas stood slightly behind their parents, looking confused and frightened. Emma was openly crying. Lucas clutched a stuffed dolphin, his face pale. I felt my stomach twist violently. Doris saw them too. Oh boy. Here we go. Should we maybe? Ruth started nervously. No, Mara said firmly. Let them figure this out themselves. But Patricia had spotted us across the terminal. She was staring directly at me, her face completely pale. Then Michael turned around. Our eyes met across the crowded space. He started walking toward me immediately. Moving fast. Jessica followed close behind. Is that her? Is that Marge? They reached our group within seconds. Michael's face was flushed dark red. Absolutely furious. Mom, what the hell did you do? I changed the reservation. You can't just do that. Actually, I can. And I did. Jessica pushed roughly past Michael. You are absolutely unbelievable. You know that? Unbelievable. Jessica, no, don't. You don't get to talk right now. Her voice was shaking with rage. You threw a pathetic tantrum because you didn't get your way, and now you've completely ruined everything for everyone. I didn't throw a tantrum. I took back my own gift. Your gift? It was for the family. You explicitly removed me from that family. I never said that. You said no extra people. You said immediate family only. You photoshopped Patricia into your vision board instead of me. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Michael stepped directly between us. Mom, please, we can still fix this. There has to be a way to fix this. There's nothing to fix, Michael. The kids are crying. I can see that. And you don't even care? I care deeply. But I also care about myself. And I'm completely done being erased from my own son's life. A crowd was definitely forming around us now. Other passengers were openly staring. Jessica's voice went shrill and ugly. You're insane. You're a bitter, selfish old woman who can't stand that her son has his own life now. Ruth moved forward protectively. Watch your mouth. Who the hell are you supposed to be? Someone who actually respects Maggie. You should try it sometime. Jessica laughed. It was a harsh, cruel sound. Respect? She literally stole our entire vacation. She paid for it, Doris said calmly. Which means she can do whatever she wants with it. Michael looked at my friends, at Frank, then back at me with something like betrayal in his eyes. You invited complete strangers? Instead of your own family? They're not strangers. They're my friends. I'm your son. Then act like it. The words came out much louder than I'd intended. The entire terminal went quiet. Michael's face crumpled like paper. I've always been your son. No, you've been Jessica's husband. That's not the same thing. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you actually defended me? When was the last time you put me first instead of her? He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Jessica grabbed his arm roughly. Don't let her manipulate you like this. This is exactly what she does. She plays the victim. I looked at her directly. Really looked at her for maybe the first time. I'm not playing anything anymore. I'm just done playing. An announcement came over the loudspeaker system. Final boarding call for Paradise Cruise Caribbean sailing. All ticketed passengers must complete check-in within the next 20 minutes. The check-in agent approached our group carefully. Mrs. Walsh, you and your party can begin boarding now if you're ready. Thank you. We're ready. I picked up my carry-on bag. Michael grabbed my arm desperately. Mom, don't do this. Please don't do this. Let go of me, Michael. We can fix this. I'll talk to Jess right now. We'll work it all out. Just please don't get on that ship. I'm getting on the ship. Then we'll never speak again. Do you understand me? Never. The threat hung heavy in the air between us. I looked at my son. At his desperate, pleading eyes. At the boy I'd raised who'd somehow become a man I barely recognized anymore. Then I guess we won't speak. I pulled my arm free from his grip. Patricia was suddenly standing right next to me. She'd been so quiet through everything that I'd almost forgotten she was there. Maggie, my name is still on the list, right? Jessica spun around violently. What? I'm still booked in your cabin, aren't I? I nodded. You're in my suite. The connecting room. Patricia looked at her daughter. It was a sad smile. Tired eyes. I'm choosing myself for once. You should understand that feeling. You do it constantly. I cannot believe this. I absolutely cannot believe this is happening. But Patricia was already walking purposefully toward the boarding gate. Frank touched my elbow gently. Ready? Ready. We walked away. Behind us, Jessica was shouting. Michael was calling my name over and over. Emma was still crying. I kept walking forward without looking back. Doris linked her arm firmly through mine. You okay? Ask me again later. We boarded the massive ship. The gangway was steep and narrow. My legs were shaking uncontrollably. Ruth walked directly behind me in case I stumbled. At the top of the gangway, a crew member in a crisp white uniform smiled broadly. Welcome aboard Paradise. The ship was absolutely massive. Gleaming white. Music playing from somewhere overhead. The smell of salt water and infinite possibility. We found our suites. 914 and 916. Connected by an interior door just as promised. I walked out onto my private balcony. Looked down at the dock far below. Michael and Jessica were still standing there. Staring up at the ship. Jessica was frantically typing on her phone. Michael looked completely broken. The children were sitting on their abandoned suitcases, small and confused. I felt tears coming. I didn't try to stop them this time. You did the right thing, Patricia said quietly. She'd stepped out onto her own balcony next door. Did I? Yes. You absolutely did. The ship's horn blew. Deep and impossibly loud. Final warning. The crew started pulling up the heavy gangway. Michael was waving both arms. Shouting something I couldn't hear over the distance and noise. The massive ship began to move. Slow at first. Then steadily faster. The dock got smaller and smaller. Michael and Jessica and the children became tiny, distant figures. Then they disappeared completely. I stood on the balcony for a very long time, watching Miami shrink on the horizon. Frank came out quietly, stood next to me without speaking. "You're allowed to feel terrible about it," he said eventually. "I know. But you're also allowed to feel free." I looked at him. "I don't feel free. I feel absolutely terrified. That's exactly what freedom feels like at first. Before you get used to it." The ship's horn blew again. We were fully out of the harbor now. Nothing but open ocean stretching ahead. Behind me, I could hear my friends laughing together in the cabin. The sound of ice in glasses. "Joy. Come on," Frank said gently. "Ruth wants to explore the buffet. Doris already found the casino. Mara's at the pool claiming deck chairs. I need just a minute more. Take all the time you need." He went back inside. I looked back toward Miami one last time. The city was just a hazy smudge on the horizon now. Somewhere back there, my son hated me. But here, right now, I was on a ship I'd paid for, with people who had chosen to be with me. I took a very deep breath. Salt air, warm sun, freedom, terrifying, beautiful, necessary freedom. I turned away from the railing and went inside to join my friends. The first morning on the ship, I woke up completely disoriented. White ceiling above me, gentle rocking motion, the sound of water moving against the hull. Then I remembered everything. I was on a cruise. The cruise I'd paid for. Surrounded by people who actually wanted me there. I got out of bed and opened the balcony door wide. The ocean stretched out endlessly in every direction. Blue water meeting blue sky. No land visible anywhere. I'd never felt simultaneously so small and so significant. There was a knock on the connecting door. Ruth's voice came through. "Maggie? You alive in there?" "I'm alive. Breakfast buffet opens in 20 minutes. Doris says there's a chocolate fountain the size of a car." I smiled despite everything. "I'll be ready." We spent that entire first day exploring the ship like excited children. 9 decks to discover. 4 different pools. A spa that smelled like eucalyptus and lavender and expensive relaxation. A theater with red velvet seats. Restaurants with names in languages I didn't speak and couldn't pronounce. Frank found a quiet library tucked away on deck 3. Leather armchairs. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Real books with actual pages. "Look at this place. We should spend time here." Patricia discovered the art gallery on deck 5. Paintings of ships and seascapes. She stood motionless in front of one particular painting for nearly 10 minutes, just looking. "I forgot I used to paint," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Before Jessica was born, I had a little studio set up in our garage." "Why did you stop?" She shrugged. "Life got busy. Then busier. And somewhere along the way, I completely forgot I'd ever started." That first night, we had dinner in the formal dining room. White tablecloths. Crystal glasses that caught the light. A waiter named Carlos who remembered everyone's names after a single introduction. Mara ordered champagne for the entire table. To Maggie. For having the actual spine to do what the rest of us only dream about. To Maggie, everyone echoed. I felt my throat tighten with emotion. I still don't know if I did the right thing. "You did," Doris said with absolute certainty. "Even if it doesn't feel like it yet." My phone rang shortly after dinner. Michael's name on the screen. I stepped out onto the open deck to take the call. Mom. Michael. A very long pause. Ocean wind filled the silence between us. I just wanted to make sure you're actually okay. I'm fine. Jess is really, really upset. Of course, that's what he led with. Not his own feelings. Jessica's feelings first. I imagine she is, I said evenly. The kids don't understand any of this. Emma keeps asking why Grandma left without even saying goodbye. The words were carefully chosen to hurt. They succeeded. I didn't leave, Michael. You and Jessica excluded me first. I just took back what was mine. We didn't exclude you. We just wanted some space. Some breathing room. Space from me specifically, while keeping Patricia in the picture. He sighed heavily. Frustrated. Mom. Can we not do this right now? Do what? This whole guilt trip thing. The victim routine. I looked out at the dark ocean. Moonlight creating a silver path on the black water. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, Michael. I'm trying to make you actually see me. See who I am. I see you. No, you see an obligation. A duty to manage. Someone to keep quiet and out of the way. That's absolutely not true, isn't it? When was the last time you asked how I was doing? Not as an automatic politeness. Actually asked and actually cared about the answer. Silence on the other end. I have to go, I said. There's a show starting soon. Mom. Goodbye, Michael. I hung up. Turned off my phone completely. When I went back inside, Patricia was waiting quietly in the hallway outside the dining room. Was that your son? Yes. How did it go? Same as it always goes. He wants me to apologize for existing. She nodded with complete understanding in her eyes. Jessica called me too earlier. Said I completely betrayed her. I'm sorry you're caught in this. Don't be sorry. She's been using me for free childcare for 8 solid years. Maybe it's finally time she realizes I'm an actual person, not just a convenient service. We walked to the theater together. Sat in the back row and watched a magic show that was mediocre at best but joyful nonetheless. The days began to blur together in the most wonderful way. We did a snorkeling excursion in Cozumel. I hadn't been underwater in over 30 years. The world beneath the surface was silent and strange and heartbreakingly beautiful. Fish in colors I didn't know existed. Frank stayed close to me the entire time, making sure I was comfortable and safe. In Grand Cayman, Doris somehow convinced all of us to try parasailing. We screamed the entire time. Laughing and terrified and intensely alive. Ruth got a 90-minute massage at the ship's spa and fell completely asleep during it. Best 90 minutes of my entire life, she declared. Mara won $240 at the casino and immediately bought elaborate cocktails with tiny umbrellas for everyone. Patricia and I spent an entire afternoon in the art gallery. She sketched in a notebook she'd bought from the ship's gift shop, her hand moving confidently across the page. I forgot how much I genuinely loved this, she said softly. Just making something for absolutely no reason except that it makes me happy. Why did you really stop? Jessica needed me constantly. Then she had the kids and needed me even more. And somewhere in all of that, I stopped being Patricia and just became Mom, and then Grandma. Like those were my only jobs in life. My only identities. I understand that feeling completely. She looked at me. Do you think we'll ever get our children back? Honestly, I don't know. But I think we got ourselves back. And that's actually something. On the fifth night, there was a formal gala dinner. Everyone dressed elegantly. Doris wore emerald green silk. Ruth wore her mother's pearls. Mara wore something sparkly that caught every light in the room. Frank wore a proper tuxedo with a real bow tie. He looked genuinely distinguished. I wore navy blue. Simple and elegant. I felt beautiful for the first time in many years. We ate slowly, savoring everything. Talked about nothing particularly important. Laughed at Doris's terrible puns. After dinner, there was dancing in the ballroom. Frank asked me with old-fashioned formality, "May I have this dance? I don't really dance much anymore." "Neither do I. We'll figure it out together." He took my hand and led me gently to the floor. The band played something slow and romantic. Frank held me properly. Respectful distance. Gentle leading. "You're surprisingly good at this," I said. Helen and I used to dance together. Every Saturday night in our kitchen, even after the kids moved out and we had the whole house to ourselves. That sounds lovely. It was. I miss it terribly. Not just the dancing itself. The having someone to dance with. We swayed together in comfortable silence. "Maggie, can I say something?" "Of course. You're completely allowed to be sad about your son and still know you did the right thing. Those two feelings can exist in the same heart at the same time." Tears came suddenly. Unexpected and hot. "I don't know how to let him go." "You don't have to let him go completely. You just have to let go of who you thought he'd become. Who you needed him to be." The music swelled around us. Other couples moved gracefully across the floor. Frank pulled me slightly closer. "Not romantic. Just kind and steadying." "Thank you for inviting me," he said quietly. "I haven't felt this genuinely alive since Helen died. Thank you for saying yes." We danced until my feet ached. That night, I stood on my balcony under a sky full of stars. Our last night before returning to Miami. The ocean was perfectly calm. Stars absolutely everywhere. The kind of sky you can never see in the city with all its light pollution. Patricia came out on her balcony next door. We stood in comfortable silence for several minutes. "I'm not going back," she said finally. "Back to Miami? Back to the old version of myself. The one who just accepts being used and taken for granted." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know exactly yet. Maybe take an actual art class. Maybe say no when Jessica demands free babysitting. Maybe remember that I'm a complete person who deserves basic respect." "That sounds good. What about you?" I thought about it carefully. Really, deeply thought. I think I'm going to stop apologizing for existing. Stop trying to earn love from people who've already decided I'm not worth the effort. And Michael? I'll always love him. He's my son. But I won't beg him to love me back anymore. She reached across the small space between our balconies. I took her hand. "We're going to be okay," she said with certainty. "Yeah, I think we actually are." The last morning, we all packed slowly. Nobody wanted the trip to end. We took a group photo on the main deck. All 6 of us together. Frank's arm around my shoulders. Doris making a ridiculous face. Ruth smiling genuinely and completely. Mara with her absurd pink hat. Patricia looking peaceful and present. I posted the photo to the old family group chat. Simple caption, "Some of us still sailed." I didn't wait for any response. I deleted the entire chat from my phone immediately. When we disembarked in Miami, Frank insisted on carrying my luggage. Doris and Ruth flanked me protectively like bodyguards. Mara hummed cheerfully the entire way. Patricia hugged me fiercely before getting into her taxi. "Thank you," she whispered against my shoulder, "for reminding me who I was before I became only someone's mother. Thank you for coming with me." In Frank's car during the drive home, I felt fundamentally different. Lighter somehow, like I'd left something unbearably heavy on that ship. "You doing okay?" Frank asked. "I think so. Yes. Any regrets?" I thought about Michael, about Emma and Lucas, whom I might not see again for a very long time. About the family I'd desperately wanted and the family I'd definitively lost. Then I thought about the laughter, the dancing, the way Patricia had smiled while sketching, the way Frank had looked in his tuxedo, the way my friends had surrounded me like loving armor. "No," I said with certainty. "No regrets at all." When Frank dropped me home, my house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full of possibility. I unpacked slowly and deliberately. Put the sundresses carefully in my closet. The makeup in my bathroom drawer. The precious memories safely in my heart. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it cautiously. It was Emma, my granddaughter. "Grandma, I miss you so much. Why didn't you take us on the cruise?" My hands shook as I typed back. "I miss you too, sweetheart. More than you know. Maybe one day I'll be able to explain. I love you very much." She sent back a heart emoji. It wasn't much, but it was something real. I sat on my couch. Looked around my house, my life, my wide-open future. I was 68 years old. I'd lost my marriage years ago. I'd damaged my relationship with my son, possibly beyond repair. I'd spent nearly $12,000 on what some people would call revenge disguised as self-respect. And I had never felt more completely like myself. Because here's what I learned on that 7-day cruise. Family isn't just biology and shared DNA. It's respect. It's showing up consistently. It's choosing each other every single day. Some people are related to you by blood. Some people are actually family. Those aren't always the same people. And at any age, in any moment of your life, you're allowed to choose yourself. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to take back your gift and give it to people who genuinely see you and value you. Dignity isn't selfish. It's survival. I don't know if Michael and I will ever repair what's broken between us. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Maybe it will take years. But I know this with absolute certainty: I won't spend whatever time I have left apologizing for taking up space in the world. I won't beg for scraps of affection from people who see me as an inconvenience. And I will never forget that week at sea. When I chose myself. When I danced. When I laughed until my sides hurt. When I remembered that I'm so much more than just someone's mother or someone's burden. I'm Margaret Walsh. And I still know how to sail. Thank you for listening to my story. Sometimes we need to share these moments to remind ourselves, and maybe remind you too, that it's never too late to choose yourself. If this story touched your heart in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to Grandmama Radio. Give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. There are so many more stories to tell, and I'd love to have you with me for the journey. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it.